Welcome, everybody, to my brand new video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Turn on that bell. Comment down below what you would change, what you agree with, and tell me what I should do for my next video, sports related. That doesn't take too much effort. If you hear my dogs, they want my food. So this is my yearly NFL ranking tier list. I might do another one once we're closer to the season if those video pops off. But here are the tiers. We got Super Bowl favorites, teams that like I expect them to be in the Super Bowl winning. Then we got contenders where it's like teams that I can see beating the favorites. And you got playoff teams, I don't think it's their year necessarily. You got potential wild cards. Hey, might be exciting, but they're not going far. First round exits, missing the playoffs. Pretty simple. They just barely missed the playoffs. Mediocre at best is a tier I'm deleting. Delete row. Next up, we got young but intriguing. A lot of variance in this team. They're young but intriguing. And we got number one pick contention. First off, the Saints. I'm going to say missing the playoffs. Potential wild card. Potential. Because they got David Carr. And if he's good, he's good. But how good they're going to be, I don't know. Potential wild card. Next up, we have the Dolphins. I'd say Super Bowl contenders. Just because they have Tyreek Hill. They traded for Jalen Ramsey to be alongside Xavier Howard. It's just Tua. They're the highest variance. They could be a Super Bowl favorite. If I know Tua's going to play well all season long, all right, and I know he's not going to get injured, then they're a Super Bowl favorite, in my opinion. But because of his high risk of injury and, head injury especially, I can't put that much stock into him, I also am readjusting the size of stuff here so it's a bit more zoomed in so you don't see the scroller on the right side. Kind of ruins the vibe. Next up, we have the Ravens. They're definitely going to be in the playoffs. I don't see them making like even an AFC championship run. They're just like, I don't even know, man. Their team is just not very well built. Like, they don't really have receivers. Didn't they get Odell? I know they signed some big free agent, but I just don't see them going that far. Bengals, however, Super Bowl contenders. If Burrow's firing on all cylinders, if Jamar Chase and T. Higgins stay on the team, and if like the defense plays well, they could be Super Bowl favorite. But I'm only going to put the top two teams in each conference in the Super Bowl favorite, and we all know who the best team in the conference is. Next up, the Broncos are going to miss the playoffs for me. They're just not very good, But Sean Payton should help them a lot. But I just think Russell Wilson, I don't know if he's going to bounce back. And if he doesn't this year, he's never gonna. And he has to be the starter with how much money he's making. I don't think they're number one pick, but I don't think they're playoff. Next up, Giants. I'm going to have them as potential wild card. It's just Daniel Jones, man. He's like, 25, 26? So he's like prime years, but he's not good, So it's, your quarterback's bad. Saquon, he's got injury issues. Yeah. Next up, the Vikings, who just released Dalvin Cook, which is very weird. I mean, they just went 14-3. I think they're making the playoffs again. I mean, but Dalvin Cook, man, he had so much production over the last couple years, and that was a very fluky 14-3. I think they're a potential wild card, just because like their defense is nice, but it's Kirk Cousins getting older. I know last year was like his better year, but like still getting older. Next up, the Rams, number one pick contention. They're bad. Buccaneers, number one pick contention. They're bad. Lions, young but intriguing. They could get the number one pick, but they could also be a potential wild card, especially in their division now that Rodgers is gone. Bears, same thing. They're same tier. They both got young, intriguing guys on the team, and they could make a really big push this year, or they could stay young, like visibly young for another year, get a top pick like the Bears technically just got that traded away. But, they could, either of them, I think the Bears more likely, could spend another year being bad, and then they become good, or, this could be their first good year. Just like high variance. 49ers, Super Bowl contenders, man. Hopefully Trey Lance gets the starting job, because I think he's just got a higher ceiling than Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's good, and his floor is much higher than Trey Lance's floor. But Lance has so much more physical talent than Purdy that, if he can get unlocked in the Shanahan offense, I think he could be a top, 5 to 10 quarterback in the league. And I don't think I'm being dramatic there, but it's just unlocking him. He just got injured. I think that's worst case scenario for him. Next up, we have the Eagles. They lost a lot of talent in free agency. I'm not gonna lie, they lost so much talent in free agency, but they're still, I think, the best NFC team. And there's not a lot of great NFC teams. Seattle. Maybe the Panthers. A lot of AFC teams left. But yeah, there's the NFC South, which is, the Falcons, that division, which is bad. NFC North just lost Rodgers. NFC East, who's in the East? I don't even know, man. The Giants, right? No, that's AFC. The Jets. The Jets are AFC. I'm confusing myself here. NFC divisions. Images. Here, both New York teams are... Oh, yeah, NFC East, obviously. Yeah, so they're in the NFC East. I think they'll win that. The 49ers. Of course. Yeah, 49ers, in the NFC. I think the Eagles are better than them. Sorry about that. I forgot a lot of football knowledge there for a second. But yeah, I think the Eagles are better than the 49ers. Simple. Raiders. This is a high variance team depending on Jimmy Garoppolo. Because if Jimmy Garoppolo's contract gets voided, they're number one pick contention. If it doesn't, they're missing the playoffs. So I'm going to have them as missing the playoffs because no matter what, they're going to be there. But, it depends. Next up, we have the Packers. I'll put them in young but intriguing, high variance. If Jordan Love plays well, they're a playoff team. If he doesn't, or if he's just, good, I think they're just going to be, kind of not great. I mean, they'll be fighting for the division title. But I think I'll put Vikings up to playoff team because I think they'll win the division. But, if Jordan Love plays a top 13 quarterback, I don't know what the expectations with him is. Except we got Washington, man, I don't care. Cardinals, I think they're going to be looking at that number one pick and licking their lips. Because, dude, that team is horrible. And Kyler Murray might miss a good chunk of the season. And I'm really high on Kyler Murray. I still think he's a top 10 quarterback, but, better than Dak, better than Kirk Cousins, better than a whole list of people that have been very commonly rated above him. But, man, I don't feel good about the Cardinals roster, especially because J.J. Watt retired and their center, I forget his name. I know his face. I can see it in my head. Next up, Steelers, potential wild card. They're not the greatest team talent-wise, but they got Mike Tomlin, Next up, the third AFC team in the Super Bowl contenders category. That will be the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, yes, he struggled last year more than was expected, but that's just kind of who he is. And I think, if the Bills can sign a Dalvin Cook or a DeAndre Aytons, right? Or DeAndre Hopkins? DeAndre Aytons. Who is that? Who is DeAndre Aytons? DeAndre Hopkins. Who's Aytons? Oh, the center for the Suns. If they can sign Hopkins or Dalvin Cook, they'll be so much better. I'll feel so much more confident about them. I mean, imagine Hopkins and Stephon Diggs. You can't stop that. Even Dalvin Cook in that backfield, he'll cook up a nice meal. Falcons, I think they're going to be fighting for the number one pick. I mean, you know what? I'll put them in young but intriguing because they got so much young talent on that offense, especially with Kyle Pitts, Desmond Ridder, and their new pickup, Bijan Robinson, or Bijan, and then Drake London at wide receiver. I think they're a very young team, and if that offense can really progress through the season, that's just such a big win for the organization. But I do think they'll be fighting for the number one overall pick. Next up, the Seahawks. Potential what? I just think the Seahawks, they have a good quarterback, which is, not really something many teams in the NFC could say. Oh, never mind. Open image in new tab. What is this? Oh, ignore all of that, please. Okay. One sec. Open image in new tab. All right. Straight from Tumblr on this one. Here. Let's zoom in. Nope, wrong window to F11. All right. You're seeing some live editing here. So, we look at the NFC. Who really has a good quarterback? And this is all for a really bad point. Who really has a good quarterback, man? Or quarterback they feel like is good right now. Fields, no. Goff, no. Love, no. Kirk, all right. Cowboys, yeah. No. Yeah. No. 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 I mean, they're hoping. I mean, like, a lot of these teams are hoping. No. Maybe. No. Yes. He's old. Yes. Maybe. Maybe yes. Yes. Just God. Okay. Seahawks are one of the only teams. What? Sorry. Flashbang. Alright, here we go. We're back. I don't know why they flashbanged us like that. Who was that? Oh, yeah, the Seahawks. Seahawks, they're in a very weak NFC. And they have a quarterback, I just think. Patriots, potential wild card. Potentially. They could be a wild card team. They could not be. That's how much I care about them, man. The Cleveland Browns are going to miss the playoffs because Deshaun Watson will play just good enough for them to not replace him. Well, they can't really. But to, not even consider replacing him. Out of the number one pick. But, he's still Deshaun Watson. And everyone wins in that situation. Next up, the Texans, young but intriguing. This is literally just teams that, I just don't know. They could be a playoff team. They could be a Super Bowl contender now. They could miss the playoffs. They could get the number one pick next year and then have to give it to the Cardinals. Who knows? Next up, is Patrick Mahomes is the Super Bowl favorite. You bet on the Super Bowl MVP in 5 years, you're betting Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs are always going to be in these top two tiers as long as Mahomes is healthy and as long as they have one solid wide receiver on that team. And the defenses, of course. Next up, the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys will make the playoffs, but they're the Cowboys, so they're not going to do anything there. Chargers. I think the Chargers will make the playoffs. Hopefully they win a game this year. Jets. I think the Jets are contending, as an organization, really like they're really contending. I'm just worried about that offensive line. I'll put them in Super Bowl contenders because they got Rodgers, but that's, that offensive line's looking a little rough. Here, Carolina, young but intriguing. Them and the Texans. I could see them maybe slipping down the number one pick. Maybe the Bears maybe slip down. Packers, it would take some colossal badness from Jordan Love for them to slip down or injuries. Next up, the Tennessee Titans, potential wild card. Really, they're a potential division winner in their division, but they could make the wild card. The Colts, based off their quarterback, Anthony Richardson. Now, he's just inexperienced, but if he can, really shine and, really learn training camp, I think that would really help him dominate. And then the Jaguars, I think the Jaguars will win that division. Trevor Lawrence, baller, entering his third year progression, second year progression without Urban Meyer. I mean, that is just a win-win-win. Because they're going to win games. That's the third win in the situation. But the fourth win is you. For, watching till the end of the video if you didn't skip ahead. And if you did, that's fine. Roast my opinions in the comments below. Like the video, subscribe, tell a friend. I'll catch more of you next time. Peace.